Hey, it's Pops, and I want to talk about Black Widow and the MCU and what is coming next. So, first, let's jump right into things. If you love our content, click the buttons and the bells and help us grow the channel. So, Black Widow, not the biggest boom for the box office for Disney and Marvel. And now they're facing a lawsuit with Scarlett Johansson suing them because Disney has released it on Disney Plus, saying that by doing so, that means that the box office is being reduced, which is depriving her of incentives that were signed in her contract. This will go to court. I doubt that this will come to some major, uh, you know, legal fee. I guarantee it will not. No one's going to want to go through that kind of discovery, I don't think. But it is a great play on Scarlett Johansson's part to try to force their hand, get them to settle out of court. I think that HBO Max and Warner Brothers did this because of how Wonder Woman 84 was handled, and they got like $10 million for Gal Gadot. I think Patty Jenkins got the same. So it makes sense. I think Emily Blunt and Emma Stone have also voiced similar concerns. And Black Widow has, it's done a little bit better than I kind of thought it had. I think that here in recent days, it's consistent. So you're talking about 169 million, so over 170. It'll go into this week. So let's just say 180 million domestically. Worldwide's at 345. So you're looking at least 360 or so. That is still a loss. This movie had to have made 500 to 600 to probably get them where they needed to be. So it's going to be a financial loss for them. However, I think more than anything else is that there's a huge PR hit that is finally landing. The new article is really, really interesting. And that's where I kind of want to start with you, to give you caught up on this. This is the new headline that just came out. Let me make sure I got this big enough for you. Let me just go ahead and flip it over to this so you can see as I scroll through this article. What's this nonsense? How do I get rid of that? There it is. Okay. Women's group call out Disney's gendered attack on Scarlett Johansson after Black Widow lawsuit. How fast they eat their own. Oh, Disney. I don't know why you think they won't come for you. You're this giant corporation. They don't care for you. No one cares for you. Just stop already. So, all right. So since Scarlett Johansson filed a lawsuit against Disney for allegedly violating an agreement to exclusively release Black Widow in theaters, a vicious legal feud has erupted between the actor and Marvel Studios' parent company. The actress claims that the simultaneous release of the film on the Disney Plus streaming service, an unforeseen decision made to allow viewers to watch safely at home during the pandemic, was not part of the original negotiations and therefore allowed the studio to cut her out of her fair share. Now, all of that's going to be out of Disney's control. Like, none of this was foreseen, but it's going to be a lot of technicality in the legal thing. Johansson's team is calling it in her complaint the sad and distressing, its callous disregard for the horrific and prolonged global effects of the pandemic. The statement was also made public that she's received $20 million, which I don't know if that was released before. Anyway, so it would make sense if she's making $20 million up front, that she might want some back end money so she can probably get, at least another 10, probably close to another $20 million. They claim 50. That sounds absurd to me, but okay. And then this is the new statement. Women's groups, including Women in Film, Reframe, and Time's Up, there it is, are now speaking out in support of Johansson, criticizing Disney's statement for presenting the gendered image of Johansson as selfish and demanding. So how dare they say she's selfish or wanting more money or wanting to be paid what she thinks she's owed. And then they called Disney's statement a gendered character attack. Scroll down. While we take no position, it's just great. Isn't it great how they write this stuff? Like, we're supposed to believe that's not taking a position. Okay, let me try to get through it. While we take no position on the business issues and the litigation between Scarlett Johansson and the Walt Disney Company, we stand firmly against Disney's recent statement. Okay, they say they take no position, but they're taking address with Disney's statement. So they're saying what their issue is the women group's not coming out about the finances or the money owed. Just the fact that Disney criticized her and said it was wrong for her to say this is great. This gendered attack has no place in a business dispute and contributes to an environment in which women and girls are perceived as less able than men to protect their own interests without facing ad hominem criticism. It's just great. This is great. I got to be honest. I love it. I love it. I think Young Ripa did a video, and his image said woke versus woke or something. Oh my gosh, I laughed out loud. It's so great. So let me ask you, where does this leave you in the MCU? What are you excited about? Like, is at some point, how are we even excited about things? Like, we waited to get a Black Widow movie that should have come out like after Civil War, and now we get it. It almost doesn't make sense. It's incredibly woke and distracting. We had this horrible bait and switch with Taskmaster basically played by a man the whole time until we put a woman in the suit so we can have this twist, which I don't know. There's so many plot hole issues with Black Widow. Please check out that video. But we look forward and we're like, okay, so Disney's kind of got this to deal with. And we've talked about Loki and how I felt about that. And I probably still need some therapy to deal with my emotional hatred of the Loki show. But then I watched these trailers and clips of Shang-Chi. It's the next one, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So it's a martial arts character that very few people know much about. I mean, I know it existed. Can't tell you how many Shang-Chi comic books I've read. I don't own any. Can't remember owning any. The Ten Rings, which ties more to Mandarin and Iron Man villain, because we had this knockoff Iron Man interpretation of Mandarin in Iron Man 3, which was just one of the worst elements of the MCU. That's the backdrop of the film. And then everyone's mostly buzzing about Abomination, a Hulk villain from Incredible Hulk. Like, that's what the buzz is on this mediocre looking martial arts film that's then followed up by Eternals, an obscure Jack Kirby character in stories that has basically this opportunity for them to basically be diverse and show representation, because it's not going to make the biggest hurdle they're going to come up with Eternals is if you have these powerful beings that have been on Earth or know of Earth, then why are they letting Thanos and Earth and the galaxies nearly get destroyed? Like, it makes so little sense. I don't know how they're going to undo all of that to make me like Eternals. And I find it so hard to believe that they'll actually set up Black Knight, played by Kit Harington from Game of Thrones, which is the only element that I'm actually remotely interested in. And then we have Spider-Man No Way Home in December. And those people, again, are buzzing more about the fact that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and Alfred Molina and all these other characters are going to make cameos in Tom Holland's movie that no one's talking about the movie. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at 3 more films where people are more excited about the guest characters in those films than they are about the films. And then you look ahead to next year and you have Doctor Strange 2, which is Doctor Strange Multi-Madness, which I've talked about how it's written by one of the crappy writers that came out of the Loki thing, or they believe it's the Rick and Morty writer. And now it's like, well, Scarlet Witch is going to be in it, and we're going to introduce America Chavez. Oh, just an awful character. It's like cameos and bit part stuff. Like, yeah, Doctor Strange is going to be in Spider-Man No Way Home, and that's we're supposed to be excited about all of this being threaded together. Then, so my point is if Black Widow makes, let's say, $400 million or $450, and it's a flop, and Shang-Chi comes out, you think it's going to perform better than Black Widow? And then you have Eternals that comes out, you think it's going to be better than Eternals? I mean, Spider-Man should do better, but that's a shared property, right? So Sony is going to get most of the money from that. So Disney has to go, 2021 is also going to be a financial mess. I got all these characters that are all blending across one another. We all assume that Kang is this big bad that's being set up at this point, or at least this multiverse war is being set up. So you have some sort of secret war type thing going on. But in the next films, it's like, okay, so Thor Love and Thunder. So we're going to have female Thor. We're having chick Thor. Black Panther, because Chadwick Boseman died, so we won't actually have him. They're not going to recast him, so we're either going to get some sort of weird spin on that story, or they're going to go with the new comic book that they come up with, where Shuri becomes Black Panther. So we'll have Chick Black Panther. Then you have the Marvels, the knockoff Captain Marvel 2 film. So you have Miss Marvel gets a TV show. Now you're going to have. I love that. Gary at Nerdrotic called her Space Karen. I don't know if he came up with that or someone else. So we have Space Karen, who's going to be joined by Pakistani Miss Marvel, Monica Rambeau, or the kind of version of Monica Rambeau that we got. We'll have that. Then you have Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, which is when Kang was supposed to be listed as a villain, but really that we know that with the last film, it's Wasp and the Ant-Man, because he's not a star in his own movie. Before we get to Guardians 3, and then ultimately Fantastic Four. So when you start to look at all of this, and you see Disney getting sued, and you see they're having box office problems, what on earth is Phase 4 doing? What on earth are you excited about any of this? Like, is there? Leave in the comments which of those you can't wait. Tell me which movie you're like, as soon as tickets go out, I'm going to be buying tickets, right? Just think about the last couple phases when you had, the Infinity War and Endgame. Before that, we had Civil War, even Age of Ultron. You have Black Panther. You have these incredible event type films that people were very excited about getting tickets. I mean, was there a buzz for Black Widow? Because I feel like it was kind of like a letdown because it was delayed for so long. And then all the buzz comes out and all their promotion is just like, oh, it's a woman film, and it talks about exploitation. It's like, oh, I want to go entertain. I want a superhero movie. Now you guys are all fighting with one another over who owes how much money. And I'm supposed to be excited about Shang-Chi, where there's like a martial arts bus scene and Abomination might be in a scene, and you're what? Like, tell me I'm wrong. Just tell me I'm wrong. I'll even do a stream where you can come and talk to me about what am I so wrong on. I hear everyone talk about these movies, and I always hear about, because they've done well in the past, I trust them and I believe in them and I can see where they're going and they're going to promise. I'm like, can they entertain me today and not just constantly move the carrot? I feel like I'm like, am I the donkey in front of they just keep moving me? Give me more money. Give me more money. Because at some point, people are just like, I'll just wait for it to be free. I'll wait for it somewhere. It'll land on something that I already am paying for. I'm not giving you more money. So anyway, I'm Pops. That's my take on it. I'm wrong. I'm right. You tell me what you think. Subscribe if you love the content. Thanks for your time.